Hello everyone, the Green Scorpion here, recovering from Patreon month and a half, and a really busy time at work. And to celebrate, I'm here to present...
Me!
Ari? What are you doing here?
What? It was my idea in the first place, mister.
Yes, you told me the topic, but you didn't tell me that you were going to hijack my video.
How am I even doing this? I know nothing about computers.
Yeah, seriously. And why me? This kind of thing usually happens to Josh.
Let's not bring the boss into this. Let's talk kitties!
You're gonna tell the boss I was mean to you if I don't let you tag along, aren't you?
How about we not tempt fate, my dear?
Showtime!
Yeah, for as long as YouTube and, well, the whole internet has existed, cats have plagued the screens of many mediums. From the first time a famous orange tub of fur graced the comic panels, to fighting for their right to has cheese... Ari!
Josh won't let me have puns.
He's a man after my own heart. We have adored them and semi-loathed their widespread presence. Video games are no exception.
While not always the focus, we've had many cats in many different roles in video games. They can be characters, bosses, adorable companions, or just be a tiny little fluff of cuteness that brightens that insignificant room in the back just a bit more.
Love 'em or hate 'em, cats are everywhere. So the Fiery Secretary and I are teaming up to make a video for all of you cat lovers out there.
Fiery Secretary?
You've never been called that out loud before. Seriously.
Well, no. Usually people just mispronounce my name. Rules.
Countdowns need rules, right? So basically, we are looking for beings that when you look at them, you immediately think cat first. They can be anthropomorphized or robotic, but they need to embody kitties first and foremost.
So it's one thing to be like Big the Cat, but something like the Khajiit from the Elder Scrolls isn't going to cut it.
Also, only cats from video games and only one per franchise. And we're looking for adorable kitties here, so the cuter the better.
Okay, hang on, wait a second. What kind of rule is that?
Oh, Josh.
The cuter the better.
I hope you guys are ready for the feline frenzy. This is the top 10 greatest kitties in video games.
Cats, Ari. Not all of them have to be tiny little furballs.
Meh. All dogs are puppies, all cats are kitties.
Fine. Kitties.
I think it's a little strange how our first cat is coming from a game about a dog.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But even a powerful goddess like Amaterasu needs some adorable assistance every now and then.
You're not referring to Isun, I hope.
Nope. We're starting this list off pretty strong with the celestial brush god Kabhi Gham.
Now, Kabhi Gham is a representative of the Vietnamese zodiac's cat, in contrast to Ami's solely Japanese origins. And yet she has the most statues around Nippon, even more than Moagami, though they mysteriously disappear in Okamiden. Basically, this graceful god of catwalk is a pretty big deal.
Which is weird because the cat isn't even a symbol in most other zodiacs. Even in the Vietnamese origins, it's scarce. But I digress. As Ari mentioned, Kabhi Gham grants Amaterasu the power of catwalk, giving her the ability to climb any wall that is near a Kabhi Gham statue. In the grand scheme of things, it seems like a simple upgrade, but let's be honest, Amaterasu would be stuck on Nippon forever if it weren't for Kabhi Gham's power.
What is it with video games and devolving gods to such low positions? You'd think they could just fly, right?
Nope, no dragon celestial brush god in this game.
At least that makes Kabhi Gham pretty crucial.
A fair point.
Also, she's very elegant and pretty, so that doesn't hurt either.
No lie. I have absolutely no idea what to make of Kate Sith.
Well, we allowed for cat robots as long as they screamed cat when you look at them, so... Crazy Mini Catbot, everybody!
Kate Sith is a playable character in Final Fantasy VII, though he himself isn't even a character per se. He's a mechanized feline riding a Moogle created by the Shinra organization to be a military spying unit of sorts. And he works as a fortune teller. And he has a Scottish accent.
You're really not a bad bloke, are you, Vincent? You pretend not to care, but you always come through in the end.
And he winds up being one of the most charming characters in the game, strange origins or no. In the game, Kate Sith is controlled by Reeve, and it's clear that he takes after his master. Except for the Scottish accent, that's weird.
Yeah, the accent is strange, but the relationship between Kate and Reeve is pretty cool. Even though it's rumored that Kate Sith has a small semblance of intelligence, for the most part, he's an extension of Reeve's personality. Reeve even controls him mentally, so they're pretty much of one mind.
This even shows on the battlefield, with Kate Sith playing the role of a Beastmaster.
Technically, the game calls it a Toy-saurus. Ugh.
Kate is sweet and playful, even if he isn't the best fighter. How much damage can smacking someone on the head with a megaphone really do? And he tells your fortunes sometimes, which usually turns out to be correct.
And when off the battlefield, Kate Sith is usually the source of some genuine charm and comic relief. And it's clear that the party considers him a valuable, if somewhat strange ally.
And why wouldn't they? It's a kitten riding a Moogle! How awesome is that? So far, we've had very strictly cat or cat-like beings. They walk on all fours, have the correct anatomy, and just look downright adorable. How about some anthropomorphism for a change?
Okay, so where do we go for anthropomorphized animals in video games?
Star Fox!
Ladies and gentlemen, Cat Munroe, first appearing in Star Fox for the NES and former member of the notorious Hot Rodders. Team Star Fox is sent to Zonus to raid Andross's oil refineries, and this is where we get our first look at the bipedal feline pilot.
Must you make this so complicated, Oscar?
I'm sorry?
Just say pretty cat lady and be done with it.
Ugh, fine. You find the pretty cat lady in Zonus, and it's clear that she has a vendetta against Andross. As any self-respecting pilot should.
It is also clear that there is some complex and tangled history between her and Star Fox's resident Angry Bird, but that's not why she's there. Cat is shown to be an incredible pilot, even if she and her team need rescuing from time to time.
After the Lilat War, she disappears for a bit before showing herself again in Star Fox Command and Star Fox Zero. And despite the criticism surrounding these games, this is where we get a good look at Cat Munroe's abilities. She's a good enough pilot to be on the Cornerian Army's radar, yet not as a threat since it's obvious that she's on the side against Andross, and considering that she did help destroy a base on Shakespearean Scottish play.
She's a good ally to have, even if her complicated relations cause some serious problems. I mean, she forced Falco and Fox into a dogfight against each other.
To her credit, that was caused by Falco's hot-headed brashness.
What isn't? Either way, Cat Munroe started as a simple ally and slowly grew to be a well-fleshed-out character, earning her the number 8 spot.
Also, brownie points for the awesome name.
Gravity Rush is an interesting game with a mind-bending premise.
I'd say closer to bending the laws of physics. In this game, you play as Cat, who is shockingly not the actual cat we're going to be talking about, and she has the ability to manipulate her own gravitational field.
Which literally flips the meaning of platforming on its head.
And our number 7 spot, in fact, belongs to the source of that power, an adorable, nocturnal black cat named Dusty.
It's not entirely clear what Dusty is at first. He just seems like a cat that follows Cat around.
Oh god, that's gonna get confusing.
Then call him a kitty! One thing that does become clear, however, is that Dusty is the source of Cat's powers of gravity, making him essential for most of the game.
In fact, when Cat and Dusty get separated in the first game, Cat's powers become useless until they are reunited. Say what you will about Cat, she would be at the Nevi's mercy if it weren't for Dusty.
He gets much more fleshed out in Gravity Rush 2, and this is where Dusty really shines like the stars within.
It turns out that he is a guardian, a creature that hails from the majestic kingdom of Eto, and this kitten form is only half of what he really is. In the game, once Cat has achieved enough power, Dusty can take the form of a vicious panther. Even cooler, when he rejoins with his other half, G, his full power is realized and they take the form of the Sphinx Guardian. This kitty's got some serious bite. Okay, stop that!
Nope! It also helps that Dusty is one of the most, if not the most, beautiful of the cats on this list. His coat always looks like the night sky, and he's very fluid and ethereal, even disappearing when touched sometimes. Except when he's touched in Cat's house, then he meows because kitty cuddles! Now how about a character playable throughout the whole game? A kitty with some real punch to her. Perhaps, say, I don't know, an interdimensional feline princess with some of the most intense pyrokinetic powers in video gaming?
You're not subtle. At all.
Bluntness gets things done.
Blaze the cat first appeared in Sonic Rush, where she was on a mission to retrieve the Soul Emeralds that were stolen by Eggman and Eggman Nega. In contrast to her incredibly fiery powers, she has a very icy and distant demeanor. She takes her job as guardian of the Soul Emeralds very seriously. but this left her very isolated and socially awkward.
Twilight Sparkle!
Hey now, no pony stuff here.
You work for two bronies, my dear. It's going to follow you.
In any case, Blaze returns in Sonic 06 and Sonic Generations, playing a much lesser role than she did in Sonic Rush, but she at least proves that she's a consistent beacon of hope. Seriously, Blaze is about the only legitimately fun part about Sonic 06 besides the cringy voice acting and treasure trove of glitches.
But even with her lesser role, she still manages to stand out. Sonic characters are either kind of dumb, or hyperactive, or overly edgy and broody.
Sometimes all three.
Blaze finds a middle ground with her development. She goes from being generally stoic and unsociable, not out of spite but out of lack of faith in herself, and grows into a warm and caring character while still having a good head on her shoulders. Much of that thanks to Cream the rabbit.
And if I may add, I love Blaze's design. A very elegant yet unobtrusive princess design. You can tell she is regal by her bearing and her clothing, and her face is very expressive and refined.
She looks amazing as she is, and that's saying a lot for one of the Sonic series' more developed and intriguing characters.
Too bad she's not used very much. I'd love a game that focuses on her and the Soul Empire where Sonic travels to help her.
Sega! We have a new idea for you! Give us money and you can have it! Okay, so the reason I introduced this countdown idea to the Green Scorpion was as a joke, because I was finally getting a kitty of my own.
Then typical me saw the potential for greatness in such a meager topic.
I'm pretty sure you could make a countdown about aglets at this point.
Anyway, even though I have an orange tabby, my favorite kitties are pure black kitties. Dusty kind of fits the bill, but how about a pure black cat? A cat as black as midnight.
Franbo is a dark game about a poor little girl framed for a crime she probably didn't commit and gets locked in an asylum.
Wait, she probably didn't commit the crime? You mean...
Just play the game, trust me. Anyway, all Fran wants to do is escape the asylum and find her kitty, Mr. Midnight, but because of some cruel doctors, the head of the asylum wanting to study her, and some freaky red pills, she's constantly flipping between the paranoid horror world and the real world. Which honestly isn't much better.
The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe.
I don't think Fran really wanted to believe that the walls of the asylum are painted with blood, her kitty is missing, and twin girls stitched together explode in an exorcism, Morpheus.
But every nightmare and hellish experience needs a source of solace, and Mr. Midnight is just that. He's not only part of Fran's ultimate goal to escape this hell, he is also a source of insight and comfort in an otherwise hopeless endeavor. Once you reunite with him, Mr. Midnight will offer advice, encouragement, and help with solving puzzles. Not to mention that he is one of the few characters who constantly treat Fran with kindness and love.
It's established by the opening sequence that Mr. Midnight is Fran's most precious friend. He calls her dear and darling and constantly tells her that everything will be alright, even though the player knows it likely won't be. But he is what Fran and even the audience needs most. He's a soothing balm on the raging, open, festering wound this game places on the psyche of all those involved, and he's a welcome addition.
There's really not much else to say about Mr. Midnight since Franbo isn't exactly a straightforward game. In some ways, one might think that the number 5 spot might be too high. While that may be true in some aspects, Mr. Midnight also plays the largest role in the game he is presented in compared to the cats mentioned earlier. Dusty plays a big role, but he doesn't have much of a personality to speak of. And while Blaze is the poster girl for Sonic Rush, she still has to share the spotlight with this blue-quilled glory hog.
In the end, Mr. Midnight is sweet, cute, loving, caring, and a much-needed companion in such a horrific adventure.
This guy is the most powerful on our list, hands down. He is one of the 6 heroes responsible for saving the world from the Black Beast, and he is described as being the strongest of all of them. He goes by many names, Mitsuyoshi, One-Eyed Twin Lotus, but we know him as Jubei.
When first introduced, Jubei was portrayed just as Ragna's surrogate kitty papa, who trained him and kept him alive with a little help from Rachel Alucard. He's a kind, helpful father figure, full of advice and patience for Ragna, and wants to see his boy do the best he can with what life has allotted to him. But as the games go on and we learn more and more pieces of his backstory, along with the rest of the history of the world...
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Why?
Blaze Blue is convoluted enough. Let's just stick to Jubei. Please.
But convoluted anime stories are my life. Fine.
Jubei is the husband of Konoe/9, the father of the most foul-mouthed and most broken playable character in the series, Kokonoe.
And the reason that Ragna stayed alive long enough to become a badass.
But his accomplishments on his own are far more impressive. He led the 6 heroes against the Black Beast and managed to defeat it, until Terame decided to screw things up.
Terame! Did I break her?
Oh, for Pete's sake, not again.
I'm living my dreams!
Anyway, the fact that his DNA is responsible for the annoying little hell spawns that are the Kakas is something I don't hold against him too much. Toa Kaka can burn to the ground for all I care, but Jubei makes up for it because hot damn, this guy is just freaking cool!
You can finally play as him in Blaze Blue's Central Fiction, and boy does he live up to his hype. He's one of the best characters in the freaking game. He can paralyze you with his eye, slice you to bits with his blade, and summon the power of the 5 elements, all the while having a very nonchalant yet heroic attitude while pulling off combos that are pure eye candy. He's fast, he's powerful, and he's so cuddly!
Wow. The most powerful being on the planet is cuddly.
You have your squeeze, I have mine. Cats and RPGs seem to go very well together, don't they?
I mean, I guess. I wonder why that is. Is it because they are so present in mythology? Is it because they have so many ideologies and philosophies that can be ascribed to them?
Dude, this cat has a Zorro persona. I don't think we really need to dive too deeply into this one.
Fair enough.
Morgana shows his furry little face in Persona 5 and is one of the main characters and an important member of the Phantom Thieves. Filling the role of the obligatory exposition fairy and mascot character of the game like Teddy before him, Morgana starts out as the navigator that explains the mechanics and rules of the castles and the world of cognition. Unlike Teddy, it's not long before he also joins the party as a playable character.
After being rescued by Ryuji and Joker from the dungeon of Kamoshida's castle,
Kamoshida is just the first capsule of the game, and I think he's the most reprehensible of the bunch.
and jury's still out on that one.
Boob pillars.
Good point.
Anyway, Morgana joins the party after being rescued, and he almost immediately takes an interest in Joker's power. Through this motivation, he becomes playable throughout the game, and he stays with Joker nearly 24/7 in that little man purse that he has.
What puts Morgana higher than the others, though, is his overarching character development and his battling abilities. Wielding the persona of Zorro, followed by Mercurius, Morgana plays the part of the Lancer, a sort of second hand to Joker utilizing some offensive power and thieving skills. This also explains why he develops a rivalry with Yuji for Second Banana.
And Futaba, for that matter. Yeah, it turns out that Morgana has some serious jealousy and envy issues. Despite his appearance and demeanor, he hates being called a cat and wants nothing more than to be manly and strong, not wanting to be seen as anything less than a true asset to the team. This gets so bad that he—
Oscar! Shh! Spoilers!
Good point. Let's just say that Morgana's overall character arc is very interesting, and is one of the main reasons he's so high on the list.
We can't really say more without spoiling too much, and since this game is still relatively new, I think it's fair. So let's end off with this. Look at him! He's so cute and precious! He's no floof cat, but he's a little pudgy cat, and that's cute too!
Ari, what are you doing? Okay, seriously, Ari, you're starting to freak me out.
You lied to me, Oscar. You lied.
What? What are you talking about?
Top 10 ghosts. Number 1. You lied to me. I trusted you, and you lied.
Okay, look, I had to avoid spoilers, okay?
And then, top 10 mysteries.
I'm sorry, what else did you want me to do?
I do not care. Now you must pay. Sisal, sick him. Drop a chair on his head or something.
At least let me explain myself! Jeez!
Yeah, after we just got done trying not to spoil Persona 5, there is absolutely no way we can explain this next one without spoiling it, so... anyone who hasn't played Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, despite my egregious plugging, out! Now!
Throughout Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, you play as Sisal, a mysterious man who was recently murdered and only has until sunrise to find out who his killer was. Along the way, he gets involved in the lives and deaths of many interesting people and ends up solving a seriously convoluted mystery that's been in the works for more than a decade.
Pretty interesting stuff overall, with a well-written narrative filled to the brim with intrigue, lovable characters, and plot twists up the wazoo. But that's not what you're here for. If you've already played it, you already know the biggest plot twist this game has to offer. After all this time trying to figure out the truth behind Sisal's murder, you also find out who he really is. He's a freaking cat!
Whether you think this is the twist of the century or a serious letdown, there's no denying that Sisal is a very interesting character and probably one of the cutest little kitties we have on our list. One way or the other, it came off as a serious shock. But then again, the game kind of hinted at it since the beginning, like all good media with twists do.
Sisal starts off with no memory, which is already a red flag, since the ghost in the lamp, Ray, seems to have a lot of knowledge about himself and how the ghost world works. There's also one point where Sisal attempts to read something but then realizes that he can't read. Why is that?
The details pertaining to this can even be as subtle as how Sisal is able to communicate with Missile, the Pomeranian. Also, seriously, all Sisal does as a ghost is knock things over.
Okay, I feel dumb for not putting that together. Wait, you haven't even played the game before. How'd you figure that out?
Because I am far more superior to you in the ways of the kitty cat, my friend. That and my kitty knocks everything over.
Yeah, Weasley's a bit of a jerk.
Yeah, Gusta finds it hard to fight those tendencies too.
But the difference here is that Sisal, in spite of his sassy nature, uses this talent to save many lives and solve a bunch of mysteries. He might not be the greatest cat on this list, but he is certainly the coolest.
Alright, number 1, the inspiration for this list. My automatic pick for number 1 and the one I fought until the end for. The potty-mouthed, psychologically troubled, lazy, lost, but good-hearted anthropomorphic black cat herself, May Borofsky.
Now, a lot of you who know this game will know that this is mostly a point-and-click adventure story with some brief gameplay elements that serve as little character interludes. Night in the Woods is heavily story-driven, so the main character needs to be a powerhouse. And May delivers in spades.
Not to give too much away, but May is an awkward, depressed, and lost 20-year-old anthropomorphic cat who returns to her little podunk nowhere town after leaving college. She has a past which everyone alludes to that seems to have driven a wedge in between her and the other residents of the town, and which helps explain her current issues and why she left college.
But what really kickstarts the actual plot is when May witnesses a kidnapping by a strange figure, and she starts to believe that she is seeing ghosts. As the game progresses, she slowly begins to feel her mind and even herself ebb away as she clings to the only things she can, the mystery of the ghosts and her friends' support, if not their understanding.
For me, this game is completely dependent on her, and if she were any less than a perfectly flawed, lost young woman with a past of juvenile delinquency and embarrassing prom stories, Night in the Woods would fail. But it doesn't. Through her eyes, we delve into themes of depression, anxiety, religion, abuse, grief, familial issues, questions of God, self-loathing, and the dying of quote-unquote hometown America. We see her slip in and out of madness in a desperate attempt to run from her past because she's afraid of repeating it. We see May fight in her own quirky, lovable way to regain some semblance of humanity that she feels she's lost by unraveling the mystery going on in Possum Springs and refusing to hurt anyone even at the cost of herself.
May is nowhere near the most powerful like Jubei, the most influential like Mr. Midnight, or even the most prolific character on our list like Sisal is. She's relatively new to the gaming world compared to others like Cat Munroe, Kate Sith, and Blaze, but her characterization in her game is so deeply complex that she winds up transcending her role as a cat into becoming the most human character on our list.
May Borofsky isn't just a cat. She's a person. A symbol of just how severe things like depression and anxiety can be, and a true example that even the worst of feelings can be overcome with determination, persistence, and friends.
Yeah, friends.
I'm the Fiery Secretary.
And I'm the Green Scorpion.